Welcome to Bird's Eye View. I'm Sam Nunes. I hope you brought your dancing shoes because today we're talking about the mind of a bee, communication through dance. So bees are expert communicators and navigators. It takes an impressive level of cognition to navigate our backyards, to find the flowers, to avoid dangers that bees face daily. And also, bees get a lot of hate for their stings, which is too bad because I think they don't get enough credit for their amazing adaptations. So, what's buzzing in those little heads of theirs? Yes, I wanted to say that. Thank you for listening. Anyways, so bees live in a 3D world with food all around them in all directions around their hives. And in a hive, with a hive mind and a colony, it benefits the hive to share information about food and dangers, but food and where food is located around them. And bees have evolved a pretty impressive technique to share this information. It's called the Waggle Dance. I didn't come up with the name, but I love the choice. So to do this, it's simply just the bees waggle their butts, which in insect terms is the abdomen. They waggle their abdomens or their butts while walking in a specific direction on their hive wall, and this conveys information to the other bees to help them find food in relation to their environment. And the intensity of the waggle tells the distance, so the longer and harder the waggle, or faster the waggle, the farther away it is, and the shorter and softer the waggle, the closer the food is. So the direction of the food is always told in relation to the sun. On a hive wall, if you think of the hive wall as a map of the surroundings, the top of the hive wall is always the sun, no matter where it is in the sky. If the bee is waggling towards the top, that means that the food, in this case the flower with the nectar and the pollen, is in the direction of the sun when they exit the hive. So when they exit the hive, they turn to wherever the sun is, fly in that direction for whatever distance that was dictated by the intensity and duration of the waggle, and they should find some flowers with good nectar in that direction. So if the waggle is towards the top, it means it's towards the sun. If it's towards the bottom, it means it's in the opposite direction of the sun. And if it's to the left or the right on the hive wall, it means it's to the left or right of the sun. Now, the sun doesn't always stay in the same spot. In fact, it never stays in the same spot in the sky throughout the day. We all know it rises in the east, in the middle of the day it's in the south, and it sets in the west. So bees are aware of this, and they take that into account when they're giving these messages, and they adjust how they waggle, the direction that they do their waggle dance in on the wall. It's pretty cool. So the sun is moving position in the sky, but the sun on the hive wall map is not going to change. So it's always going to be at the top of the hive. But the direction at which the bees do their waggle, that's what's going to change. So as the day goes on and the sun moves the position, the bee is going to waggle in a different direction on the hive wall map to convey the information of the same flowers that they were talking about before. It's a pretty cool adaptation. It's kind of a simple little thing that is easily missable. But yeah, it's very interesting. Anytime you go to one of those, occasionally in touristy areas, gift shops will have those sections that have the beehive that you can see inside of. And every time I see those, I like to go up and see if I can find any bees that are doing a waggle dance. And there's always at least one or two, because remember, there's hundreds of bees in there, and they're all trying to find food. So there's got to be at least one bee doing the waggle dance. And if not, you can always look it up online as well. I'll try to include a link on my page to a video of a waggle dance. So, for many years, scientists thought that this was the only way in which bees could orient themselves in their environment. But bees have another trick up their sleeves. It's called cognitive maps. A cognitive map is a mental image of landmarks in their environment, and humans do this too. if you've ever gone on a road trip or taken a long drive somewhere that you're familiar with, and you can remember where the turns are because you just remember what they look like, but you can't really remember the names of the streets, that would be a cognitive map. In fact, I just did a long trip like that. I hadn't done the drive in a few years. And I only missed one turn, but all the rest I was able to do. And that's my use of my cognitive map of what the route looks like. And bees can do this too, amazingly enough. And to test this, what scientists did was they took bees that had left their hive, they induced sleep for them for a few hours to allow the sun to change position, and then when they woke up, they watched and saw that the bees were still able to fly back to their hives. So they were able to use landmarks like, oh, here's the fallen tree, here's a big rock, things like that, or maybe the stream. They can remember the positions of these things and use those to get back. And then once they can navigate themselves back, then they can do their waggle dance to tell the direction of wherever they found their food. So we're continuously amazed by the magnificent minds of these small organisms like the bees. They've evolved complex navigation systems for both the individual organism to navigate their environment and to convey information about that environment to their peers. They also play an irreplaceable role in the balance of the ecosystem. Won't get too much into that today. But I think all of these combined are great reasons to love and respect these creatures. Thank you for listening.